Have you ever wondered what it'd be like to have limitless money? At the snap of your fingers, conjure absurd wealth out of thin air. The likes of Bill Gates and Jeff Bezos are billionaires in their own right, having seamlessly endless cash pools. Yet it's nothing compared to one man who ruled the ancient world. Mansa Musa was the king of the Empire of Mali between 1312 CE and 1337. Mansa meant king. He took over the empire that covered over 500,000 square miles of Western Africa, as Mali had grown into a vast kingdom due to its global increase in wealth and the regional infrastructure that was built around its biggest resources: salt, gold, and copper. Mansa Musa became king after his predecessor, Mansa Abubakar, went missing. Well, missing seems to be the vague term for it. Abubakar wanted to know what was far west of Africa, over what we now know as the Atlantic Ocean. No one had ever explored it before, so it was the perfect place for an ambitious king to make his name. It is quoted that Mansa Abubakar did not believe it was impossible to discover the furthest limits of the Atlantic Ocean and wished vehemently to do so. So, he equips 200 ships filled with men and the same number equipped with gold, water, and provisions enough to last them for years, telling them that these men should sail off into the ocean, noting, "Do not return until you reach the end of it or your provisions and water give out." Time passed and only one ship returned. The rest seemed to be lost at sea. Abubakar, though unwilling to send more men to their inevitable death, yet still hopeful that there are some new lands, took himself and 2,000 ships. Yes, 2,000 more ships to sail away into the Atlantic. And once again, they never returned. Of course, nobody knows exactly what happened to Abubakar and his 2,000 ships. There are rumors that they may have even perhaps made it to America, but no real evidence has ever been found of this pre-Columbian contact between Africa and the Americas, so I guess it will always be lost to history. Yet back to the Mali Empire. Mansa Musa was then crowned king, and he was in charge. The kingdom itself had become incredibly wealthy from tax trade, having almost full control in the span of Africa. During the time, gold, copper, and salt were the main resources, and the Mali Empire had all three of these things in abundance, not to mention three of the greatest gold mines ever in the known world that gave them vast amounts of wealth through generations. Yet with this newfound money and power, Mansa Musa focused on expanding, using his money to control his subjects and, of course, find more and take more into the fold of the Mali Empire. He took 100,000 men, 10,000 horses, and set out to make Mali the new prosperous hub in Africa. He went to Timbuktu, transforming it into a major Islamic university hub, building mosques in Gowa and expanding the cities along with his wealth and renown in the process. Yet it wasn't until it was time to make the Hajj that Mansa Musa really sealed his legendary status. As the leader of a Muslim nation, of course, it was expected, as it is for every Muslim, to take the Hajj, a journey to Mecca. From Mansa Musa's point of view, this was 4,000 miles across deserts, mountains, and cities. But Mansa Musa, being the pay-to-win master he wasn't going to take this trip alone. He got together the best of the best, 60,000 soldiers, slaves, entertainers, and an assortment of others to escort him on his journey, all doused in silk and royal embroidery, a disgusting amount of wealth being shown to anyone that could see it within a 5-mile radius. Men with horses carried gold banners, camels stacked with 300 pounds of gold on their backs. Even the slaves themselves were said to be holding staffs of gold aloft to signify the travel. Reports at the time speak of the event like nothing that had been seen before, many describing it as even a moving city. I mean, this was over the top more than anything else before, and most likely anything else since. You might look at something like the coronation of a monarch as a world-changing spectacle, yet it stood like nothing next to what Mansa Musa had conjured up for himself. The train set off and took a stop in Cairo on the way, marching as a beacon of wealth through the desert. Once arriving in the city, Mansa Musa would order his party to throw gold through the streets of Cairo. Al-Umari, a historian of the time who visited Cairo several years later, stated, "From the beginning of my coming to stay in Egypt, I heard talk of the arrival of this Sultan Musa on his pilgrimage. and found the Cairenes eager to recount what they had seen of this African's prodigal spending. One of the subordinates of the leader of Cairo, al-Nasir, went to greet Mansa Musa, saying, "When I went out to meet him on behalf of my mighty Sultan al-Malik al-Masir, he did me a great honor and treated me with the greatest courtesy. He addressed me, however, only through an interpreter, despite his perfect ability to speak of the Arabic tongue. Then he forwarded to the royal treasury with loads of unworked native gold and other valuables. I tried to persuade him to go up to the citadel to meet the Sultan, but he refused, persistently saying, 'I came for the pilgrimage and nothing else.'" And I think it was this mark that made Mansa Musa, once the king of the Empire of Mali, now into a legend whose name was remembered for hundreds of years through history, perhaps as the biggest baller, not only of the 1300s, but maybe of all of humankind. My guy would not even talk directly to the hand of Cairo, despite speaking their language. He handed him a metric ton of gold and peaced out, saying that this was just a pit stop to him. I mean, later on, eventually, he was actually persuaded to meet al-Nasir of Cairo, yet he didn't kiss the ground and continued just to give more gold. I mean, we talk about him parading his caravan through the streets of Cairo, throwing gold like nothing before. But to give some context to the sheer amount of wealth spent, even years after Mansa Musa left, the gold economy had all but crashed due to the severe investment that he had made that day into his gangster lifestyle. Not just in Cairo as well, I might add, but some estimated that throughout the Middle East, $1.5 billion of economic loss ensued, taking over a decade to recover because of Mansa Musa's one journey to Mecca. Can you imagine that? One man throwing away what must have just been spare change to him, and it significantly damaged the economy of the surrounding area. But we get it, the lad's pretty rich. So just how rich? Of course, exact numbers are impossible to come by, and that doesn't even start to think about translating it into modern currency or value it. But it is estimated that he had approximately $300 billion in wealth, more than anyone else in history, even today. I mean, currently in 2022, the richest man on earth is Bernard Arnault, the CEO and chair of Louis Vuitton, and his net worth is $214 billion, overtaking Elon Musk. That doesn't even come close to the estimated $300 billion of Mansa Musa. But there's more. Most historians even now say that it's probably going to be vastly more than that because of the time and the day. So the best way to put it is to imagine any wealth that any human could have and double it. By the end of his reign in 1337, he doubled the empire's territory, making it second to only the Mongol Empire at the time. The Mali Empire was never, though, and has never since, been as vast as it was under Mansa Musa and his incredible wealth. Even today, with players like Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos, hundreds of billions of dollars that they have, they still could never even buy or let alone fund armies, even cities, let alone the second biggest empire of their time. It was and always will be some uncomparable wealth to even the billionaires of today. So, if you ever need motivation to get rich beyond your wildest desires, just be born on top of the world's biggest gold mines, I guess.